Hello, my name is Wally, and I'm one of your hosts for the Elite Hockey Fans podcast, joined with Colin and Ricky. And today we're going to be recapping the 2019 NHL Draft. So the first two picks went as planned: Jack Hughes to the New Jersey Devils and Kaapo Kakko to the New York Rangers. Third is when it got shaken up a little bit with taking Kirby Dach third overall. And as a Blackhawks fan, I was a little bit surprised, but there was a tweet earlier that kind of showed that we were going to take him. It said that the Blackhawks were interested in him. So I wasn't too surprised. He's a good two-way winger, a high IQ, a great passer. Just needs to, I would say shoot a little bit more, but I really like the pick. His speed is a little bit of concern, but it's not horrible. So, you guys want to add any thoughts to that?
Yeah, but I mean, Kurt Dach is one of those guys who, his speed isn't really up there. He thinks the game at such a high level that, he doesn't need to be fast in order to be effective. Kind of like a Ryan Getzlaf or a David Krejci type. Those guys are not the fastest, but back in their primes anyway, they were able to. They could think the game at such a higher level that they didn't need to use their speed or mobility to get around bodies.
Yeah. And after this pick was the Colorado Avalanche, who pick defender Bowen Byram from the Vancouver Giants. It was pretty much a great pick. It's one of the best. He was the best defender of this draft, pretty much. He has good size with a 6 foot, 180 and 94 pounds body. He was exceptional. He's a great skater. Has good balance, explosive, and a high hand top gear. He's pretty much one of the best. Great vision, creativity, great awareness, and a highly precise pass, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that defense is going to be stacked in a couple of years with Samuel Girard, Cale Makar, and Bowen Byram.
Well, incoming Colorado dynasty.
True.
And then at number 5, the LA Kings picked Alex Turcotte 5th overall. Alex Turcotte was a center for the U.S. development program. He is the second American taken in this draft. He started playing out for the development team juniors program. Then made up his way up to the actual development team. He only played 36 games this year as he was sidelined with a couple of injuries, but he had well over a point per game, 62 points in 37 games, with 27 of them being goals. Great creativity, has a scoring touch. He's a great passer, decent skater. I like the pick. I think LA did good for themselves at 5th overall.
And at 6th overall, we had the Detroit Red Wings taking Moritz Seider. That was an interesting pick and a very surprising one at that. If you watch the draft over again, you can see Moritz Seider himself was even surprised to go 6th overall. He's a 6'4" defenseman, 207 pounds, right-handed shot. He's a good two-way defenseman, very mobile for his size too. Offensively, he could use some work, but considering he played in a more of a defensive role, it's not really surprising to see him not put up huge point totals, especially in a men's league as an 18 and a 17-year-old. So I think he did really well this year, and I'm not overly surprised. I think it's still a pretty decent pick.
Me, I was really surprised because I thought it was going in the top 20 pretty much. He was supposed to be in the top 20 at the start, but when it was picked, I was pretty much maybe it was because St. Louis was bigger. It was a bigger team, and maybe the GM was maybe if I had bigger defender, and some defenders are gone soon, Cromwell's gonna gone is gone pretty much. So maybe he can help take his place.
Yeah, I mean, he also fills out a pretty barren-ish right-handed side in Detroit, and so I think it adds another defenseman. What I'm concerned about with Detroit is that I don't know who the heck their number one defenseman is going to be. Like, they've got a bunch of defensemen who look really good, but just don't scream number one material. Like, the only one who really does scream like top two material right now is Philip Bronek, who had a pretty decent rookie year in a shortened season, but I just don't know who their number one defenseman is going to be exactly. But either way, I guess he just, who knows? I mean, Nick Lidstrom was a third-round pick back in his days, so I mean, maybe they could find some random bum in the seventh round and becomes the best defenseman since Bobby Orr.
Yep. At the next pick, we got Kirby Dash, that was chosen by the Buffalo Sabres at number 7. Pretty much, he has great size, he's a great player, he's a good player. He was a good scorer. He got 84 points in 68 games. He had a good team. Just maybe speed that is maybe killing himself pretty much. But he's a massive player. He's a two-way player. He's just pretty much his skating that's killing him. But we don't know pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty high on Cousins. I think he's going to be a really good player in this league, and he gives Buffalo some more options. Like he's someone who could probably slot alongside the wings of Middlestat or Eichel, and potentially helps out their forward depth. And then at eighth, and then at 8th overall, you have Philip Broberg, who played for AIK of the Allsvenskan this year. He had 9 points in 41 games. And was at -1. He's been called a two-way defenseman, and he's a big body, 6'3", 194, 98. Sorry, he has some decent senses, and he's got good skating, but the problem is that he makes bad decisions and coughs up the puck so much you think he's Chris Letang. So he's bad. He's pretty not great in his defensive end, as according to his scouting report, and he probably could be better. But what I like is that he's got nothing but time in Edmonton because Ken Hall's GM, and he's notorious for letting his prospects marinate until they're absolutely ready. So he's got plenty of time to work out the kinks in his game and prove everyone wrong that he can be a top defender in this league.
Yeah, and then at number 9 we have Anaheim taking Trevor Zegras, which I really love this pick. I mean, I think he's probably the best playmaker after Jack Hughes in this draft. I mean, he had 61 assists in 60 games for the U.S. NDP team. So that's really good. But the one thing that I found kind of interesting is that he took a lot of penalty minutes, and I don't know if that's just because they're bad penalties or if he fights a lot. I wouldn't think he fights a lot, but you never know.
Yeah. Usually usually from my experience, whenever I see high penalty minutes in a lower league, I kind of take it with a grain of salt because because lower leagues can tend to be a bit more harder on certain plays like hits or whatever. But at the same time, if you're taking penalty minutes like almost 100, I think you maybe at least have a little bit more of an edge to your game.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay.
And
one more thing about him is his skating is amazing as well.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, and the next picks at the top 10 pick, we got Vancouver Canucks would select Vasily Podolsky from the KHL. He's a good scorer, but the problem is he's pretty much gonna end his two-year contract. But Vancouver has time, pretty much. That's what's fun. But his big problem is that he wants to stay in the KHL to finish his contract. So a team that will have need him right now cannot have his play, pretty much.
Yeah. To be honest, I kind of thought that Paul Colson was kind of like this year's version of Vladimir Tarasenko all the way back when, someone who was really talented but potential contract issues and being Russian and all, kind of tanked his stock, and he fell all the way to the Blues at like 15th or 14th, and he became one of their better players in recent memory. But let's just say Puck Colson will be an elite goal scoring type player like Vladimir Tarasenko, but I think he's got the talent, got the size. I definitely think he's going to be a good player in this league, and he's a nice option. He's going to be a nice winger, complimentary winger anyway.
Yeah, I really like his game. Very aggressive. He plays like a power forward, but he also has that scoring touch. Even though this year he didn't put up amazing point totals, from what I gathered, he only averaged around 13 minutes of ice time a game, which is around third line minutes. So he wasn't put in the best position to score. But I still really like this pick, and he won't get rushed either. So since he has to spend 2 years over in the KHL or wherever he plays, so I really like this pick.
Yeah, and then at number 11, Arizona traded up to get this man. They pick Swedish defenseman Victor Soderstrom. Victor Soderstrom. It's definitely a need pick in my opinion. He's a right-handed shot, and Arizona lacks right-handed shots badly. He's got a decent. He's filled out his frame pretty decently. 6 foot, 183. He's called a competitive two-way defenseman who thinks the game at the highest level, according to the Elite Prospects report from Curtis Joe. Gifted skater, ability to traverse all 3 zones, smooth and effortless, never looks disinterested, always. So essentially, he apparently has a knack for competitiveness, and he doesn't take a shift off, apparently. He's also called a really great puck mover, has a decent, good pass, and make good defensively, never looking out of position. So, and it's not, I don't think it's a bad pick in terms of the quality of player, but at 11th overall, Cole Caulfield was still there, and Matthew Bold was. Cole Caulfield was the big one who was still there.
Yeah.
And this is a team that was like one of the lowest in terms of goal scoring. They had no 20 goal scorers this past year, and they pick up a guy like Soderstrom to fill out a need of right-handed defenseman. I don't know. This could be a pick that comes back and bite. Well, Caulfield could be a guy who could bite a lot of teams in the butt, but I think Arizona might regret taking the goal scorer.
I personally like this pick. He reminds me a lot of Henry Jokiharju, considering like a two-way defenseman, puck mover, mobile defenseman, around the same size. I think Jokiharju is like 5'11", and Victor Soderstrom's 6 foot. While I think he could have been picked later, he was ranked 3rd on Arizona's draft board, which I'm guessing Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko were 1 and 2. So, yeah, he was ranked 3rd on their board, which was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, Chaika is one of those guys who really is a part of the mold of like, we're picking guys that we like, and we don't care what you think.
Yeah.
And then at number 12, Minnesota selected Matthew Boldy. Good skilled winger, very high IQ and very good work ethic. I think there's some concerns of what is he's not great at, he's not elite at anything. He's good at everything. I think that's kind of a concern, but I think he's still going to be a really good top 6 winger. I like this pick.
I do too. The one thing that kind of sticks to me, though, I don't know. Like Minnesota